Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm making another video today. I made one early this morning, which showed you the snow outside, which was a lot of snow for us, which is cool. Wanted to do another video. Got it. Wait, hold on. Hold on! Check this out. I'll show you the snow with the daylight out. Check this out. Yeah, that's a little frost on the windows, you can tell. Okay, enough for snow pictures. Let's get this back up so I don't have to look at the outside world. Okay. I hope the heater's not too loud for you guys, but I do need it today. It's awful cold. I was gonna kind of do some things of what I've learned over the last few years of living in a pod full time. And some of the things that matter and some things that don't matter. But I will do the first few things as quick as possible, as the basics and all that jazz. Okay, the pod. It's a 2015 MyPod by Little Guy. I bought it in 2016. It was brand new, but a year old, sitting on a RV lot. I bought it the same time I bought the FJ Cruiser that I pull it with. And yes, I had to get a loan, as most of you know now. So I wrapped the MyPod and the FJ Cruiser loan together just to make one payment instead of having two payments. I thought it would be easier for me, and it has worked out great that way. That way you don't stress about making two different payments to two different banks or whatever. Okay. Going from there, when I first got the pod, I had a few problems with it. The first major one was the television. Because when I bought it, the RV company I'd bought it from was a little shady, in my opinion. But they were the only one that had the MyPods. So they had taken the standard 12-volt television out of the MyPod. And when I bought it, they had put in a standard household television set. Which, interesting. Problem is, when I first got the pod, I was not hooked up to shore power pretty much hardly at all. During the winter months I was, because of the company I worked with. They were allowing me to use their warehouse to stay in during the winter months, so I could plug into shore power then, which I am very, very grateful that they allowed that. Problem is, I couldn't use the TV during the summer months or anywhere else because it was household current, and I didn't want to run my generator just to watch TV, which I thought was stupid. So I ended up buying a new TV, which was 12 volt. Bought it, put it in. It was slightly bigger. And within a few months, it died. It crapped out. So I ended up contacting the RV company, or not the RV manufacturer, Little Guy. They sent me a brand new TV, which they used it as warranty work, which I was grateful for. Have not had a problem with it since. Should have probably done that to start with, but live and learn. Then the AC unit had a problem. It was throwing breakers. Once again, the RV dealership I bought it from had the AC unit out. They installed it wrong when they put it back in, and they crushed the wires in it. Well, they crushed the wires in it, which was really bad. The RV manufacturer offered to replace the AC unit. I told them no, I would work on it. Worked on it for a little bit, got it to work by fixing the cord. I basically cut out the portion of the cord that was crushed, rehooked everything up, and it works fine now. Never had a problem again with it. So, I know a lot of people bang on RV dealerships, and in my opinion, I understand why now. A lot of them are, unfortunately, in it for the money, but not in it for the customer. Let's put it that way. Little guy who I bought the MyPod, who manufactures the MyPods, and some other teardrop trailers have done very, very well by me. They have taken good care of me. So if you're thinking about a MyPod or one of their other trailers, I think they'll take care of you. The manufacturer, not the dealerships, okay? I'm going to make that clear. Now as time went on, them were the only major problems I've had electrical wise, or with the trailer itself. The MyPods are not insulated. Let me make that clear. They are not, that was snow falling, insulated at all. So, in the summertime, they will get extremely hot. The AC unit will work to an extent. Last summer I was out in Vegas. The AC unit would not keep up with the heat out there. Would not, no matter what. Once the sun fell, the AC unit cooled down the MyPod and would freeze you out at night. Keep that in mind if you're going to live in one full time or just camp in one during the summer months. It's going to be hard where you're at if it gets really hot out. Now, with that said, if you put a canopy over your MyPod or your trailer, it will help greatly. I have never been in a situation where I could do that. And yeah, it will help. I'm sorry, I just went blank there. Moving on from those things, like I said, they are not insulated, the MyPods. It's wintertime here. It has gotten down to the low 20s, high teens here. I use a 1500 watt ceramic space heater because right now I am hooked up to shore power. And it works just fine for me. I don't need it to be blazing hot all the time. The space heater keeps it at least in the 70s and 80s inside, and that's on low. I've never had to use it on high. So with the space heater and a couple blankets, I've been fine. And as you can hear the space heater humming, a lot of people will say, oh, it's too loud, I can't sleep at night, I can't do this, I can't do that. To me, that's a personal thing and not the space heater's fault, or not the MyPod's fault, or anything else. That is a individual person's problem. Because honestly, the hum of the space heater, I like the noise. It's white sound, it helps me sleep. It's like, if the space heater is going to keep you up at night, then during the summer months, if you're running the AC unit, you're not going to sleep at all because it's louder than that in this small space. Just saying like it is. It's just louder than this. Now when I travel, I personally like staying at truck stops and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of another word, but it's just not coming to me at the moment. I do apologize. Truck stops I like for two reasons. One, the semi-trucks there put off a noise, a generator noise, at nighttime. I like that sound. It helps me sleep. Also, there's a lot of people around. You're probably a little safer. I know that probably sounds funny to some people. Yes, things can happen anywhere, but at truck stops when there's a lot of movement and people around, probably less likely to. As far as someone trying to break into your unit or your car at night. I have never had a problem in the last 5 years of me living in camper vans, the MyPod. I have never had a single problem with anybody trying to mess with my stuff, ever. So, now with that said, there was a time, if you go back far enough on my channel, when I was at work, someone did break into one of my vans at work and stole some miscellaneous stuff. I am not talking necessarily about that. That's a slightly different scenario. But I'm talking at truck stops. The word I was looking for earlier was rest stops. At rest stops, I have not had anybody ever mess with my stuff at truck stops, rest stops, or at Walmarts, or Cabela's, or any other places I have stayed overnight for one night. I've never had any problems there. A lot of people have, and I'm not saying it can't happen or won't happen, it has just not happened to me. So when I'm traveling a lot, I like staying at the rest stops, the truck stops, and stuff like that. For one, they're free, as long as you don't abuse them. The people that abuse them tick me off, and nothing we can do. You know, people don't get nasty and all that to people that do and all that. It's just, it doesn't help. It does not help. They're going to do what they're going to do, just like you and I. We're going to do what we're going to do. Okay, now if you're living in one area, like I was for a long time in Wichita, I stayed at a specific Sam's Club or Walmart constantly when it wasn't wintertime. Like I said, at wintertime when I was there, the company I stayed with worked for allowed me to stay in their warehouse. That was great and wonderful. But during the summer, it's too hot to do that. So, hence why I bought a generator. And again, a lot of people will whine and gripe and whine and whine and whine. Generators are loud, generators are this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, first of all, if you're going to use a generator, be courteous about it. If your particular generator is considered loud to the majority of the world, don't park somewhere where you're going to bother someone. But on the other hand, if you park somewhere where you're the only one there and other people then later park by you, that is not your fault. That is their fault. Considering my generator is attached to the front end of my vehicle, it is obvious I have one. If they still decide to park there, that is not on me or you. That is on them. So if they want to gripe, that's their fault. Let them gripe. So, but to counteract that a little bit, if you're going to stay at a Sam's Club or a Walmart that allows overnight parking, park as far as away from the building as you can. 2, if semi-trucks park somewhere on the property, park by them. Why? They're going to run their generators at night anyway, so then if you turn yours on, nobody, and I mean nobody, will hear yours, because the semi-truck's generators will drown yours out 100%. And honestly, I have a big generator. It has a 4,000 startup and like a 3,800 running, but it is a 30 amp generator. So I can plug the MyPod in and it will run everything in the MyPod all at one time if I need it to. Correct? Granted, I have never done that because I've never needed to run the AC, the TV, the stereo, and everything all at one time. Okay? But it will, 30 amps will take care of everything in the MyPod. I did that knowing I needed the power. And mine's a Champion generator. Works great. Never had a problem with it. Since it is mounted on the front of my vehicle, it gets a lot of wear and tear from the weather. This coming summer, I will probably have to start replacing stuff on it, even though it's only 1 or 2 years old, because the weather has taken its toll on it. I knew that going into the way I was mounting it, and a lot of people suggested when I mounted it to make a box and cover it up and all that, which is fine in certain scenarios. But in mine, if I made a box for it and had to uncover it, I had no place to store the box after I uncovered it to run it. So what do? Take the box up and push it up underneath the vehicle and hope it doesn't get stolen, blow away, get in someone else's way. There's a whole scenarios there. I could have made a soft cover for it, I guess. Still same kind of scenario, somewhere to store it, so on and so forth. But the generator has helped me out greatly in the summer months to run the AC unit when I'm in certain areas. Now, like I said, starting this portion on staying at Walmart's or Sam Clubs or wherever, if you're in an area for a long time and you need to use their parking lots, rule of thumb, you do not live there. So if you make a mess, you don't. You do not make a mess. End of story. 2, get there as late as you can at night. For me, I was getting there somewhere between 8:30 at night at the very, very earliest. Typically, I'd get there between 9 and 10 o'clock. And set up, go to bed. I would then leave by 6 a.m. at the latest. 6 a.m. at the latest, people. Leave. For me, I had a gym membership there in Wichita, so I would get up at 6, drive over to the gym, take my showers, do my workouts, whatever I was doing that morning, get cleaned up, go to work. Okay, what happens if you don't work on the weekends? Like we didn't. I'd still get up at 6 a.m. One of the county parks there would open at 6 a.m. They would open their gates, allow people in the park at 6 a.m. Therefore, I'd get up, drive over there, park, go back to bed, or whatever. It worked out really well for me because the county parks didn't care if I had a van or if I had a trailer, because it was a park that allowed walking, hiking, fishing, because they had lakes and stuff like that on it. Worked out really great. I would suggest finding someone if you're going to live in an area in your trailer and avoid RV parks to do it on the cheap. Now, RV parks. I stayed at a few RV parks in the very beginning. To me, they can be expensive. Some more expensive than others. One of the RV parks in Wichita I stayed for the first month was about $600 a month. It was a nicer one with concrete pads, all that stuff. Very nice. I ended up moving after the first month to an older RV park that honestly was about half the price. Wasn't quite as nice, but the people were nice that ran it. Can't complain about them one bit at all. Their sites were not paved, they were dirt. It would rain, it got gross and muddy really quick. I did stay there probably six, 7 months before I moved out and started going back to living mobile, as I call it, with the Walmarts and Sam Clubs and stuff like that. I just got tired of the mud and the stuff. It just wasn't fun. It wasn't. but they were about half the price. They were like $350 plus electricity. You know, it worked out better for the budget. But once I moved out and started doing the mobile stuff, things got cheaper, quicker, and I could pay stuff off faster. That was the goal. Then eventually I left Wichita and started traveling. And things got interesting as I traveled. I ended up in the state of Washington. I ended up in Oregon for a while. Let's start there. Stayed there for a month in December of last year, of 2017. Last year, I guess. Now. Couldn't find work. Found work in Washington. Moved to Washington in like January of 2018. Worked for 3 months. 3.5. Moved because I wasn't working out. Went to California. Worked there on the coastline in the National Forest for 2.5 months. Wasn't quite thrilled with that. Wasn't quite what I wanted it to be for me. Moved out of there to Vegas. Was in Vegas for about the same amount of time, 2.5 months. By the time I found work there at Circus, and that's a long process, getting a casino job in Vegas. It's a long process. But it was only going to be a part-time job. It wasn't going to pay my bills. And really, even before the job started, I moved out. I just couldn't do it because of the heat. That's where I realized the pod would not work there during the summer months, and moved back to the state of Washington, where I'm currently parked at a friend's house, and I am very thankful that they are allowing me to do this and use their shore power, and I can't say enough on how thankful I am there, once again. And now I'm working for an aircraft company that has allowed me to pay off the FJ and the pod within the next 16 months now. And that's my goal, is to sit here and pay that off. But what I've learned, trying to get back to that, of living in a MyPod, is that it is very doable for me as a single person. If you were a couple, I don't know if it would be doable. I'm sure it could be if you were constantly out of the MyPod doing other stuff. Let me plug in my laptop. It's starting to die. I'm sure it's very doable if you were away from the MyPod. To me, I spend a lot of time inside the MyPod, if you've noticed on my videos, especially since I've moved here to Washington. A lot of that is because of weather-related stuff. It's just either too wet outside or too whatever. Or that I'm working so much that when I get off work, I just need to kick back and do nothing for a little bit. It's just the way it is here, and it keeps me from spending money, to be honest. So, the space allowances in the MyPod, honestly, are like 55 square foot. F that. And it can get really frustrating some days. I'm not gonna lie, I have space laid out pretty well, but if you were 2 people in a MyPod, you wouldn't have the space I do. It would be taken up with another mattress. And a lot of you have known from watching my past videos, the mattress that came with the MyPod, I ended up getting rid of after the first year because it wore out that quick. I bought a real mattress that is a what do I want to call it? A foam mattress. Not a foam, but a forgive me. It's part gel foam, I guess, and part not. So it's firm, but it's not firm. It works really well. It was expensive. It was like $360, but it works really nice, and it has lasted at least two and a half years now, and I can't complain. So, like I said, I cannot complain. I've done stuff like that to make it more comfortable. I've made a platform for the mattress to sit on that gets the mattress an inch off the ground. That does a lot of things, because if you don't have a little airflow under your mattress, it's going to get wet and stay wet. And that was another video a while back if you want to go through and watch that, because I will get into condensation here in a few minutes, I guess. But, like I said, space works out well for me. I don't need to move around. I don't need to constantly stand up, sit down, and walk around like some people think they do. I am 5'5", 5'5". I am sitting on top of my mattress. My mattress is 8 inches thick, plus the 1.5 inches that the platform puts it up even a little higher, and I can still stand straight up, and I still have space above my head before I hit the ceiling. So it's no big deal to me to do that. Now, if you were 6 foot, you maybe leaned over a little bit like that. I don't know how you guys get around that. I'm sure you'll figure it out if you're that tall or taller. But since I'm 5'5", it works out. And if you're even shorter than that, it's going to be even better for you. Like I said, it's just, life's good. I can't complain. Now, the condensation in a MyPod kind of threw me for a loop when I first moved to Oregon. Because in Kansas, I didn't have the problem. Because in the winter times, like I said, I was in a facility where I didn't have to worry about it. And most of your condensation, in all honesty, will be underneath your mattress. So, I have found a way around that. I use the platform to get it off the ground, which helps, but does not stop it. So, during the day when I get up to go to work, I, of all things, here, I have an old container, old food container that I've cleaned out, keep the lid on, that when I get up to work, I lift up the mattress and put that underneath the mattress and the platform, which allows air to get up underneath the mattress and the platform so it dries out during the day for any moisture that might build up there. And no, it's not a hassle. A lot of you will go, whoa, that's a hassle. No, it's not a hassle. It takes less than 2 seconds to do that. You just lift your mattress up, shove that under there, and lay the mattress on top of it. You do it towards the center of the mattress, so then it lifts up the majority of the mattress, even at the ends. By the time you get home, it's dried out. If you leave your space heater running during the day, it will be bone dry when you get back. If you don't leave the space heater running during the day, it will be probably 96% dry and just be very... It will feel cold to the touch, but it really won't be wet. I've done it both ways. No big deal. I've done it both ways. Let me clarify that, because during the winter months, since it got really, really cold here, I have let the space heater run during the day when I'm not here. And I know that's going to freak out a lot of people. But if I don't, the stuff inside the trailer would freeze during the day. I mean, any water I left in here, any canned goods I left in here, they would flat out freeze during the day and cause other problems. And the refrigerator would quit working at some point. It would get cold enough in here, the refrigerator would shut down because it would think it was cold enough. And I guess it would still keep it at 32 degrees inside the refrigerator. But that's just a whole nother thing that you guys need to research if you have a refrigerator. I do have a 12-volt Dometic refrigerator. It is not a cooler that's electric. It is a refrigerator. I can get it down past 0 degrees if I want to turn it into a freezer. So that's how I keep food stuff cold, if you're wondering. And I am going to leave this video here. It's kind of rambled into areas I didn't think I was going to go, but here we are. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate it very much. I do these videos because I like to, not because I have to, not because I'm trying to make money off of them. They're not even monetized. So hey, share them, be nice to your friends, family, and until next time, I will see you out there, and be safe. Bye-bye.